being here at the Palante home, and in particular, a big thank you to both Francesca and Anthony Palante for opening their home up to all of us here for this fundraiser. We have a number of people that I want to quickly introduce to you that are also running for politics in this area. We have Nam Baines with us, that's running for federal Liberal nominee in the newly created riding of Mississauga-Malton. Nav, where are you? There's Nav here. Julie Desjardins, candidate for federal Liberal nominee, riding of Mississauga Lakeshore. Julie Zerowicz, federal Liberal nominee in Davenport. Where's Julie? Ali Azasi, federal nominee, Willowdale. Where is Ali? A.K. Mufti, candidate federal Liberal nominee, riding of Mississauga Streetsville. Provincial member of the legislature, MPP for Mississauga East and Cooksville, Dipka Demerla. Dipka. And of course our mayoralty candidate, Bonnie Crombie. Where are you, Bonnie?
Hey, Bonnie.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are so pleased to have with us this evening the leader of the Liberal Party, and that's the only title he has at the moment. We're kind of hoping that that will change in the next year. The polls show Justin leading handsomely over the Conservatives, and
Don't use
that
adjective with me. Yeah.
And no wonder. The Conservative government, the Harper government, actually, which shows you how conceited they are as well, that they call the government the Harper government, and let's hope they don't call it the Trudeau government afterwards. It's the Canadian government, and it's the Canadian people that they're supposed to be serving. There's a lot of arrogance out there, and we've been on the receiving end. Our organization, LiUNA, has been on the receiving end of the arrogance. We know that the Aboriginal community has been on the receiving end of the arrogance lately as well, with disclosure and a number of other projects that come out of the Harper government. It's unfortunate because our candidate, our government to be, is a government that's inclusive of all Canadians, no matter where they're from, no matter who you are, no matter what walk of life, what income level you're at. They are for the people, they are for Canadians. Our leader, who we're lucky to have with us today, exemplifies that. He's someone who believes in reaching out to all Canadians. He believes in promoting youth, promoting education, promoting training from coast to coast. We are really excited and pleased to have our leader of the Liberal Party, Justin Trudeau, here. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome the next Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau.
Thank you, Joe, my friend. It's always wonderful to be here, always wonderful to see how successful you are at twisting arms and ordering people to fill a room or a garden. I really appreciate it. I know Joe and I go back a good ways, and I'm really touched on him, touched by his not just support and confidence in me, but also by his advice. We've had some great conversations about how to build a strong economy and how to build a stronger future for Canadians. He shows time and time again why he's such an important Labour leader in this country, and it's a privilege for me to be able to call you friend. Thank you very much. I also obviously want to thank Tony and Franca for welcoming us to this gorgeous home. As I see this place, I can't help but think, thank God I didn't bring my wife. It really is an extraordinary... Yes, I know, Bonnie, you're very proud of Mississauga, and you should be. But it's just also something that I want to say is thank you to all of you. Thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you for supporting politics. not just me, but for actually taking a step forward and being supportive of the political process. Politics is such a source of cynicism these days. It's so easy to sort of shrug off what's going on in Ottawa as not representative of you or of Canada in general, and to try and ignore it. And you get people saying things like, oh, don't vote, it just encourages them, and the last thing you want to do is get involved. But over the past year, I have to say, I've been more and more touched and overwhelmed by the number of people who've chosen to step up and step forward into the political realm. Not just all the candidates you've seen tonight who've decided that they want to be part of the team, they want to be part of building the plan for a better government, but people who are coming forward as organizers and volunteers and donors, and just realizing that, yes, as Canadians, we understand that being a good citizen is more than just paying your taxes, obeying the law, and voting from time to time. That citizenship comes with a responsibility to contribute to the world around you. And all of us do that naturally by our hard work, by being involved with charitable organizations, by making donations to good causes, by taking a stand on issues and foundations, and helping out in our community in all sorts of different ways. But the reality is, over the past few years, it's become less and less convincing for ordinary citizens that politics is a meaningful way to contribute and to shape the world around us. It seems instead that politics tends to be more about, particularly in Ottawa, particularly with these guys in office, seems to be more about winning over the opposite team. Seems to be more about scoring points and attacking and breaking down your opponents and getting people to turn away from politics as a goal. And it's not about the service. It's not about building a better future. It's not about drawing in the best and the brightest to be part of a team to put forward a plan that's going to build a more prosperous future generations. And that is really what convinced me to step forward into politics, first as an MP, secondly as a leader, and thirdly, hopefully, as Prime Minister. Because the fact of the matter is, I saw it firsthand. I saw how much politics can make a difference in people's lives. To my father's example, to my grandfather's example, he was a cabinet minister in Louis Saint Laurent's government representing Vancouver North for 18 years. I understand how important public service is. And I gave as myself a goal, along with a number of friends who are here tonight, to build a political party that would truly put Canadians first, that would focus on serving not just society as it is, but society as we want it to be, and drawing in the very best and the brightest so that people could be proud of the voice they chose to represent them in Ottawa. Because unfortunately, with Mr. Harper's style these days, it's much more common to have Mr. Harper's voice represented in your communities by your Conservative MPs than have the community's voice represented in Ottawa. So I've been incredibly encouraged by the number of people who are now positively regarding the Liberal Party, making donations, coming out to events, stepping up as candidates, telling pollsters that they might vote for me one day. The fact is, we tend not to pay too much attention to polls between elections, but when the narrative is as consistently positive as it has been, and it reflects the reality we see on the ground, we know that something is happening. And what's happening is very simple. Canadians recognize that we're incredibly cynical about politics these days, but at the same time, we're really tired of being cynical about politics, because it's not in our nature to be cynical. Canadians are not a negative, cynical, frustrated people. We're big-hearted, optimistic, hard-working, willing to build for a better future, ambitious about what our opportunities are, what our opportunities for our kids should be. But the reality is, there is cause for cynicism beyond the negativity and the attacks of this current government. because the Canadian dream, the Canadian story, is weakening a little bit. This country was built around a very simple promise, a very simple premise, that wherever you were from, wherever your family was from, come to this country, work hard, build a good future for yourself, and an even better future for your kids. That your hard work would lead to upward mobility. And that's been the story of this country over generations and generations. Parents work hard, give opportunities to their kids, who then grow up, work hard, give even better opportunities to their kids. And that's one of the reasons why Canada has been so incredibly successful in becoming this country that is strong not in spite of our differences, but because of those differences. Because there was enough success for everyone. That we could work hard and build this extraordinary country allowed us to look over the language difference or the religious differences with our neighbors. Understood that in a land that's too big, too empty, and too damn cold, too many months of the year, we have to be able to count on each other. You have to be able to be there for your neighbors. It's in our very fiber as a nation. But recently, that's no longer holding. People are now worried that we're in a generation that is not going to give, regardless of all our hard work, better opportunities to our kids than we ourselves received from our parents. That the next generation won't automatically have a better quality of life than we were able to get. And that's extremely destabilizing, not just individually as parents, but to us as a country. As we start questioning the kind of country we've built. And when we have a group of politicians, a government in Ottawa, that is focused on the politics of division, of attack, it not only divides people, it becomes more and more difficult to actually solve the serious challenges we're facing. Because we are facing serious challenges. Over the past 30 years, the Canadian economy has more than doubled in size. We've had over 100% growth. But in that same time frame, median household income has increased by only about 15%. Canadians haven't had a raise, not a real one, in 30 years. The middle class is no longer succeeding the way it used to. Now people will say that's just a global trend. It's happening in every Western democracy around the world. Every capitalist economy is seeing this hollowing out of the middle class, and Canada is just on the receiving end of a global movement, and how dare us imagine that we can buck that trend. Well, I'm sorry, this country has overcome greater difficulties than that in the past, and we do. If, and only if, we decide we want to. Because for all the negativity of this Conservative government, all the attacks on Labour, on Natives, on anyone who disagrees with them, on scientists, on other world leaders, on anyone they can tend to pick a fight with, for all that negativity and attacks, their greatest weakness isn't, their greatest failing isn't their negativity or their tone. It's their lack of ambition for the country. It's the lack of feeling that, you know what, we can roll up our sleeves, work together, and solve these challenges. How do we rebuild a strong middle class? How do we rebuild a strong economy? Because you get Conservatives saying, you know what, Canada's economy is strong. Canada is strong, and you know what, if you look at the numbers, yeah, Canada's doing pretty good. But Canadians aren't. Not the majority of us. You can't have a strong country unless the people living in it are succeeding. So how do you define a strong country? How do you define a strong economy? Very simple. The largest number of people with the best possible jobs. How do we get there? A whole bunch of different things. First of all, we make sure we're investing in education. We need to reach a post-secondary attainment rate of 70%. And that includes, obviously, university, but it means a greater emphasis on skills development, on training, on apprenticeships. Understanding the jobs of the future are those jobs that are going to require, yes, a good level of education, but also a capacity to do things with your hands, and innovation, a creativity. technical skills. These are the kinds of things that are going to come together, and they require not just the right education system for young people, but a capacity to train and retrain people throughout the course of their careers. But the pace of innovation, the pace of new technologies, that's an obvious necessity. But this government consistently hasn't gotten it right. We also need to make sure we're investing in infrastructure. As I cross the country, I hear from municipal leaders all over who are talking about their crumbling roads, the elderly wastewater treatment plants that need upgrades, the challenges they have around community infrastructures, public transit, challenges around housing. These are not just luxuries we'd like to invest in. These are things that are core to quality of life and economic productivity. Hours wasted in commutes is not just lost quality of life for the individual, it's significantly lost productivity and capital for the country. We need to be smart about investing in infrastructure that, yes, is going to create all sorts of jobs in the immediate as we build the infrastructure necessary. And these aren't people raking gravel. This is high-level, skilled work as electricians and pipe fitters and designers and engineers. But also, these are the kinds of investments, when done right, not done based on whose riding they're going to help get re-elected, but done on what the actual needs are in the communities and what the opportunities for long-term growth are, that will lead us to building and growing a country like Canada. Because as we look at countries around the world and the challenges they're facing, heaven knows there are a lot, we can also be reassured that Canada, among all different countries, is incredibly blessed with the riches we have. First of all, to be the country that knows how to build a diverse, rich society that succeeds and draws on all its voices and perspectives is an incredible value that we should be sharing with more instead of undercutting with the politics of wedge issues and division. But on top of that, as people look for where to invest, where to build factories, where to put their money around the world, they're looking for political stability, looking for economic stability, social stability. Canada has that. They're looking for market access. Well, perched on top of the United States, access traditionally back towards Europe, right across the Pacific towards the growing economies of Asia, Canada's in the sweet spot. Looking for natural resources. Well, we have those. Looking for human resources. We have those too. Canadians ourselves, with family and economic ties to every corner of the world. A willingness to work hard, to imagine a better future, to innovate, to build, to grow. I love Wilfrid Laurier. He was my second favorite prime minister. But the fact is, he got something wrong. He announced the 20th century would belong to Canada. To my mind, when I look at what we have, the 21st will be ours. But if and only if we decide to step up, we decide we want it. We decide as individuals that it's not good enough to turn away and vote for the least worst of the options out there, but to stand up and make a positive choice for the kind of country we want to leave to our kids, the kind of world we want our grandkids to grow up in. To understand that as Canadians, we have an opportunity to shape solutions for the entire world, and therefore, as people with opportunities, we have a responsibility to do so. This is what this coming election is going to be about. But the kind of world we want to live in, the kind of citizens we want to be. And I, for one, am incredibly humbled by the response, by the kinds of people who've come forward and said, yes, we can be more. We need to do more. We need to get it right. We need to listen to our scientists. We need to look at best practices around the world. We need to trust Canadians in their values and their perspectives. We need to know that the only thing limiting us in the future we're about to build is the lack of imagination of this current government. And that, my friends, is something we're going to change in short order. Thank you very much.
Enough said. Those are the kind of words that we like to hear and the kind of action that we're looking forward to after October 2015. I wanted to mention to you that we have a number of other functions that may not be scheduled yet, but they're being planned. Franca and Tony have been so gracious to open up their home, and we're very grateful. Frank and Tony, this has been wonderful. Great function, don't you agree? Oh, yeah. And there are a number of folks who also have intentions of opening up their homes in Caledon. Jonathan and Paulina Rozos have agreed to open up their home sometime in the spring. Sam DiGregorio and his wife Frances have also agreed to open up their home in Bolton to all of us, if you're interested in coming again. And our manager, our representative in Sarnia, Mike Maitland, has agreed to open up his home. I know it's a bit of a jog for most of us, but keep it in mind. Justin will be there for sure. And this winter, sometime in the winter, both Jack Oliveira and Carmen Principado from LiUNA 183 and 506 have agreed to host a large function at their hall in Toronto, and we're looking forward to planning that sometime in the winter of 2015. So we'll keep you posted. I know that we keep on coming back to the well, and that's a little bit stressful for some of you because you keep on getting letters, especially when you see my name. I know that your blood pressure goes up because you know that there's an ask somewhere in the letter. But you know, these kind of campaigns, in order to make a change and in order to make a difference, do require your support and do require a lot of support in order to win an election. So a lot of deep pockets, and we're really grateful that you're here contributing to the success and to Justin's success and to the Liberal Party success. Our success in the next election. Well said, well said. I wanted to mention one other thing because I did mention a number of people who are running, but you know, we have also with us Vanderlei Silva, who came out of the UFC as a fighter. And of course, if you're a fighter, why not jump into politics? So he's thinking of running in his country, his home country of Brazil, in the province of Paraná. So congratulations, and we wish you well. So ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy yourself. Justin is still here mingling around, and thank you again for being here.